In a world where the competitive landscape is constantly morphing and evolving, companies must thrive to survive. Disney, like many other companies today, is going through changes. As technology rescapes the competitive landscape and industry trends bring new strategies, Disney strikes a balance between their conservative strategy in some segments and an aggressive one in others. The foundation of Disney's strategy lies in their consumer products and studio entertainment, their conservative sectors, while the competitive environment has necessitated a more aggressive approach in the parks, interactive media, and media network segments. Next, we will examine the segments individually. First up is Chris with interactive media. Thanks a lot, Chris. Next up, we have Disney's interactive media segment. Interactive media deals mostly with games for iPhones, iPads, Androids, and computers. This includes games like Star Wars Commander and other Disney phone games. This is Disney's smallest segment, and they have had issues with breaking even. Therefore, the tactical objective of this segment is becoming profitable. This is a revolutionary strategic initiative, as it is terminated as soon as they become profitable. The interactive media industry is highly competitive, and a recent article described how many firms in this industry have failed because they never reached profitability due to overweight operations. However, Disney's interactive media finally reached this benchmark in 2016. They managed to reach this milestone through lean operations, and they recently laid off over 80 employees in an effort to cut costs. This is an exploitative strategy as they are using the resources they already have and trimming them. It is easy to examine the success of this strategic initiative as the milestones and measurements of the Parts MM are easily measured as you can examine the revenue streams of Disney Interactive Media. The strategy was a good one, and they created a temporary competitive advantage. Next up, we have Marc with consumer products.
Down here all the fish is happy as off through the waves they roll.
Thanks, Chris. Moving on to Disney's consumer products segment, we'll look and see how this business adds value to the corporation, even though it's one of their relatively smaller segments. This segment is divided into two business units, their retail business and their licensing business. In 2016, the retail business of Disney consumer products captured almost $2 billion in revenue, and their licensing aspect captured almost $4 billion. As a whole, Disney consumer products creates about 10% of all of Disney's revenue and commands about 11% of the market share, which is second place in that particular market. The focus of Disney's consumer products is in their licensing. By using the strategy of licensing, Disney is able to avoid a large portion of production and advertising costs, as these costs are adopted by those companies that purchase Disney's brand. The success of Disney's licensing comes from its significant cost cutting, while retaining the benefits of garnering brand recognition as these licensed products flood the retail markets with Disney's characters and image. We recognize this cost-cutting strategy as a major component to Disney's current and future success, even though this segment of the corporation commands a relatively smaller portion of the market compared to its other segments. Disney's competitive advantage lies within the Disney brand itself. So selling the Disney trademark to outside companies that help Disney's brand become more visible is a great strategy for adding value as well as cutting costs, which are important components in blue ocean strategies. Going forward, Disney must keep strict regulations and policies for their license holders to follow in order to protect their brand value. They must also keep a keen eye out for any illegal Disney brand usage for the same protective reasoning. Now we'll visit Alison as she talks about Disney's studio entertainment segment.
main Disney products that most people are familiar with are Disney movies. They fall under my segment of discussion, studio entertainment. Some of the most recognizable studios that Disney has acquired over the past decade are Lucasfilms Limited, who created the Star Wars franchise, Marvel Entertainment, who produced movies like The Avengers and Spider-Man, and Pixar with films like Toy Story and Finding Nemo. Disney was not always the top holder of market share for film production. In fact, it took years of strategic planning to ensure Disney found the right studios to fit well in their complex system. To start, many of the companies Disney has since acquired were considered current and potential rivals. Disney realized that even though these studios were smaller and their profits were not nearly as high, the growth expectancy for studios like Marvel and Lucasfilm would be trouble for Disney in the near future. The strategic initiative Disney started to follow was to begin a low-risk movie release while working behind the scenes to acquire top talent and studios to further grow the Disney brand. The best example of this low-risk release strategy are the recent remakes of classic films such as Alice in Wonderland, Cinderella, and The Jungle Book. The original films were a success and created a following of the characters and story. A remake will not require as many creative resources, unlike a completely new film, and the remakes will already have an audience. This explains why these films are relatively low risk to be considered for Disney. They are not expected to be considered flop films and will continue to bring in an average of 16.82% of revenue this segment has already provided for the entire Disney Corporation. With an expected high return and relatively low risk, Disney can shift their focus from creative movie production to focusing on their strategy for their next acquisition or work on recruiting the best talent for fresh production ideas. Now I'm going to pass this over to Jenna for her portion of the discussion.
Thanks, Alison, for your insight on the studio entertainment segment. Now, we are going to shift our focus to the parks and resort segment and how exactly this segment can contribute to our overall strategic initiative for the Walt Disney Company. The parks and resort segment is one of the better known segments of Disney, as most people are familiar with Walt Disney World in Florida and Walt Disneyland in California, as well as the Disney Cruise Lines. While Disney theme parks currently have 49.3% of the market share in the amusement park industry, other competitors such as Universal Studios are quickly beginning to capture some of that market share, as Universal's share is currently 18.2% and growing. Along with this statistic, Universal Studios has also had the largest growth in revenue in the amusement park industries in the past 5 years, and it is expected to continue growing its revenue steadily over the upcoming years. While the parks and resorts segment of the Walt Disney Company is currently the top performing entity within the amusement park industry, it is important for Disney to understand that competition within the industry is extremely high. Parks such as Universal Studios are creating new and exciting attractions, such as the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and Disney must be able to come up with some sort of competitive response in order to secure its spot within the industry. Through the evolutionary strategic initiative of adding exciting and culturally popular attractions, Disney will be able to sway the competitive dynamics within the industry towards their favor. What kind of things will need to be done in order to keep up with the inter-firm rivalry within the industry? For one, Disney will need to start creating more exciting rides within its parks. In today's world, more and more people are seeking high excitement rides, and many of Disney's rides are very tame. To create an effective competitive response to other parks within the industry, Disney will need to begin designing new rides and attractions that can capture the growing part of the market that is interested in more thrilling rides. Disney certainly has the right resources and capabilities to do so, so at this point it is all about initiative. Besides adding more thrilling rides, part of Disney's strategic initiative in relation to the parks and resorts segment would be to broaden its scope of themes within its parks. like Universal has when it implemented a Harry Potter themed attraction in Florida, as well as a Walking Dead themed attraction in California. While the classic Disney theme of Mickey Mouse and fairy tale princesses is still widely popular amongst consumers, many consumers within the market are seeking new and exciting attractions that cater to their latest pop culture obsessions. Disney is currently working towards this aspect of the initiative by creating a Star Wars theme park. Overall, in order to remain competitive within the industry, the Parks and Resorts segment will need to begin a continuous update of its attractions. While it may be on top now, failure to compete with the other players in the industry may cause Disney to lose its top spot within the industry. If the Parks and Resorts segment is able to keep up with this inter-firm rivalry, it will be able to support our overall strategic initiative for the Walt Disney Company. Next, Kristen is going to discuss how Disney's Media Network segment plays a role in our overall strategic initiative.
ESPN in 1996. A major weakness in the Disney Media Network segment is the unprofitability of ESPN. Once the most popular sports network, ESPN has been consistently losing subscribers, a total of 7 million in between 2011 to 2015. With a subscription, customers pay around $7 a month for the channel. In order to cut costs, customers have found a substitute for expensive broadcasting subscriptions through online streaming services. Their strategic initiative to help solve this problem is to use Disney's large amount of cash reserves to purchase exclusive rights to sporting events. This will include events for the NFL, NBA, Wimbledon, and college football. They are planning to pay $7.3 billion in total rights fees in 2017, more than any other company in America. By creating this strategic initiative, Disney is attempting to create value in ESPN again by instilling rarity and imperfect imitability. Disney is creating costs to imitate through physically unique resources and making it extremely expensive for anyone else to get these rights.
In conclusion, Disney's overall strategic initiative should be to push forward with the segments that can perform more aggressive strategies and to keep a strong hold in the markets where their more conservative segments compete. Disney is a very diversified corporation with strong presence in multiple markets, and the smartest way to continue Disney's success is to take advantage of their synergy. This means pushing forward with their parks and resorts, interactive media, and media network segments, and stabilizing their consumer products and studio entertainment segments. By increasing their brand recognition and further cutting costs in their consumer products and studio entertainment segments, Disney will be able to add value to the company overall, as well as free up operating income that they can use to fund aggressive strategies performed with their other segments. Disney should look to compete further in their aggressive segments by creating goods and services that are attractive to broader audiences, whether that be more thrilling rides in their parks and resorts or finding new ways to utilize technology within their media network segment. By taking advantage in their synergy and strategically placing their eggs in those baskets with better potential to compete aggressively in markets, Disney's future success is sure to accelerate.